Bonjour mes amis and welcome back to Sur la Bucket, but we're not on the bucket today, we are sur la table because it's January and it's pissing down and it's cold and I ain't going in the garage. Now, what we got here? I was asked about rigs. This here looks very simple, very easy. It is the most successful rig that I have used over the last 20 years in France. This rig has caught 90% of my fish. I was first shown it over 20 years ago by a Dutch angler at a famous lake near Limoges. The closest I've seen to this, it's basically a knotless knot with a tweak. The closest I've seen to this is a bit of a shout out to Matt Collins from Beausoleil, because he did one similar to it, but I think he did it as a catfish rig. But seriously, this is good. Right, so what have we got? The most important thing, as you can see here, is when you do the knotless knot and you whip down the shank, keep your wraps really tight. Right? Keep pushing them up with your fingernail until you get to the exact point like that, where you have a 90-degree angle to the point of the hook. That's very important, right? You'll see why in a second. When you get to that point, keep it tight, keep it under tension. And I'm not, you can all tie a knotless knot. I'm not, I mean, if somebody really wants me to tie it, I will do. But when you get to that point, you lift the hair upwards and you whip behind it 3 times. Really tight, keep it under tension. And then when you pull it all back dead tight, you will see that the hair naturally pings out of the back of the hook. I've bent it down. Right, now you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, you can see the 3 extra whips afterwards there, and now it naturally pings out of the back of the hook shank. Right, then whip up as normal, come through the eye towards the front point, and then figure of 8. I do a figure of 8 on a loop. Now, the reason that I do a loop and a figure of 8 is because once you've done this, you can see how battered this thing is. It's snapped in half and battered, right, because I've used it so much. Then you sharpen the hook, you protect it. All right. Now, the reason it's so crucial, and the other thing, is the knot on the hair here. Right, I don't pre-tie rigs. I always tie my rigs when I'm at the lake and I've got the bait in my hand. Right, now what you do is you line the bait up on here and you make sure that the knot is in the middle of the bait, which is going to be nearest to the hook, right in the middle of there. So you don't need a stopper. You don't need all this extra crap on your rigs. You know, you don't need anything to make this sink, because this is a sinking hook link in black. You don't need, I don't like loads of bits on me hook links and stuff like that. This is a very simple rig. You can critically balance this to pop it up if you want. Right? So you can also lift baits off the bottom. But think about the baits that you're going to put on, and also think about the size of fish that you're going to catch. Because 40-50 pound carp have got huge mouths, right? That looks like quite a big gap for a hair, doesn't it? Right, now the reason you've got to get it dead right with this bit and keep it nice and tight, when you do it loads and loads of times, you'll realize that with some hooks, it's like with a certain hook link, you know, I think this is 25 pound, this one. With the certain ones, it'll be like 17 turns, 18 turns, 20 turns, and then you'll know exactly where you are. Pull it dead tight, lift it up. But the crucial bit, the absolutely crucial bit, is this, is when you lift that bait, that hook hangs beautifully straight. And the reason for that is when the carp takes and it sucks the bait in, if it's a big carp, if this is all close together and crunched up, it can spit the whole lot out in one go. It'll all go. You've got to have some separation. The bigger the carp, the bigger the separation. I once fished a very famous lake And the first 6 fish that I had were all 40 plus. I was getting lots of touches and twitches from the other ones, but then I think it was because I actually by accident made the hair longer than I wanted to. And what was happening is that the bigger fish, instead of just being able to push it all out, this was catching. Now you'll know if you've got this right. You will know, absolutely know, because if you get this right, you will nail them bottom lip, dead centre every time. And I have never ever had a hook slip with this. Okay. Now, like I said, I haven't got the tackle manufacturers are going to hate me for this because you don't need anything else. I don't have a rig box. I tie them up at the lake as you need them. Think about the length of your hook link. All right. Now, normally, I always start at about, let's see, in men's measurements, that's about 9 inches, isn't it? Yeah. Now, I always start at about 9 inches, which is basically the length of my tackle box. I have gone longer, I have gone shorter. But usually, if you start around 9 inches, you give enough room, because the lead's going to be holding that down. You give enough room for this to be taken into a fish's mouth when it sucks the bait. Yeah. So, and the one thing I'm obsessed about is when you've finished it, is sharpen the hook and protect it. Right. What I do, I use PVA sticks and then thread it through. But before you do that, if you want to know the best thing that you can do with that hook link when you've got it tied up, when it's in this state, right? This is the actual hook link. I've changed the baits on it, right? But this is the actual hook link that in June of last year caught me a 53-pound fish out of a famous lake in the Champagne region, right? This rig works, and it has worked, like I say, for over 20 years. Yeah, but protect the hook, be obsessed with the hook point. If you muck around with it, or you hit it on something, or you catch it on your tackle box, resharpen it, right? Then, once again, the tackle manufacturers are going to hate me. You don't need fancy gloves. Honestly, you don't need all this bloody highfalutin scent that you can squirt on your rigs and all this crap. Do you know what the best thing you could do with that is? Right? Chuck it in a bucket of maize. Right? If you've got a bucket of maize on the bank that you've got it in the sun and it's beginning to ferment slightly, chuck it in there and let it soak in the maize. And then what you can do is when you're ready to just change hook link is just put the PVA stick on, protect the hook point, and you're ready to go. So that is the best thing that I would suggest. It is simple and it is strong. And think about the difference between casting and bait boat, right? If you drop things out of a bait boat, they normally go straight down onto the bottom, all right? So if it drops straight down onto the bottom, you've got all this sinking hook link curled up. So when a fish sucks at it, you've got plenty of room. If you feather it out when you're casting it and you straighten the hook link because you don't want it tangled, yeah, that's brilliant. That's a good idea. But if it's too tight, if it's in too much of a straight line, think about what happens if a fish approaches from the opposite end and tries to suck it towards them. It's going to ping against the lead in it. So just think about your hook links. If you drop things out of a bait boat, usually they drop straight down in a big heap. If you don't want that to happen, use an elevator lead. Sea fishermen use them all the time, you know. If you use one of them, as the lead drops down, you'll get a degree of separation in your hook link, okay? But yeah, for me, this is one of the best methods that I will go to, and I have caught most of my fish on. So there you go. I hope you found that helpful.